Hello everyone. If you love heartwarming animal stories and want to follow the inspiring journey of these adorable friends, don't forget to hit the subscribe button now so you won't miss any of our videos. Now, let's dive into today's emotional story. Noah had always lived in a world that was quieter than others. The world around him was full of noise, chatter, and activity, but for him, it was like a storm that he couldn't quite tune into. Noah had autism, and from a young age, he had found it hard to communicate. His parents, Sarah and James, often felt helpless as they watched their son struggle to express his thoughts and emotions. Noah didn't speak, and though he understood the world around him, his ability to convey that understanding was blocked by an invisible wall. At 5 years old, Noah had already been through countless speech therapists, social groups, and playdates. Despite their best efforts, Noah still didn't speak. He never responded to questions, didn't engage in conversation, and most often, he would retreat into his own world. When other children approached him, he would look away, his face full of confusion and discomfort. He was often seen sitting alone in corners or curled up in his room with his toys, avoiding the noise of the outside world. Sarah and James worried constantly about their son's future. They loved him deeply, but they couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness that Noah wasn't able to connect with the people around him. They both longed to hear their son's voice. They imagined what it would be like to hear him speak, to express his joy, his pain, his desires. But that day seemed far off, and the silence was overwhelming. One afternoon, after a long day of appointments and attempts to get Noah to engage with a new speech therapist, Sarah returned home exhausted, only to find that James had a proposition that he hoped would change their son's life. "I think we should adopt a dog," James said, sitting down on the couch beside her, his voice full of conviction. "A dog?" Sarah looked at him, unsure of what he meant. "We've talked about getting one before, but Noah. I don't know how he'd react." "I know it sounds strange, but I've been reading a lot about how dogs can help children with autism. They provide companionship, stability, and support." Max. Max is a golden retriever I found at the shelter. He's great with kids. I really think he could help Noah. Sarah was silent for a moment, her mind swirling with uncertainty. But she saw the hope in James's eyes, the same hope she had seen when they first discussed speech therapy or tried another new approach. What if it works, she thought. What if this dog is the key to opening up Noah's world? After some discussion, they decided to visit the shelter the next weekend. Sarah wasn't sure if it would work, but seeing Noah's isolation, she was willing to try anything that might help him. The next Saturday, they drove to the shelter. The place smelled of wood and fresh straw, and the noise of barking dogs filled the air. As they walked through the aisles of cages, Noah clung to Sarah's side, his wide eyes taking in the chaos. He seemed distant, as if the noise overwhelmed him, but Sarah squeezed his hand, gently reassuring him. Then, they saw him. Max was a golden retriever, sitting quietly in a corner of the kennel. His fur was soft and bright, and his eyes held a warmth that seemed to reach out to Noah. He was calm, composed, and his gentle demeanor was a stark contrast to the excitement of the other dogs. Sarah knelt down beside the kennel and called to him. "Max, come here, boy." To her surprise, Max rose and walked over to the door of his cage, wagging his tail gently. Noah, intrigued, took a step forward, his eyes locking onto the dog's. Max's eyes met Noah's, and in that moment, it felt as though the entire world slowed down. Sarah felt her heart race as she watched the connection between her son and the dog unfold. Noah didn't speak, but he reached out a hesitant hand. Max, sensing Noah's uncertainty, nudged his face gently against the boy's palm, like he was offering a silent reassurance. It was a moment of pure, unspoken communication, and it was the first time in a long while that Sarah felt like Noah had connected with something or someone. "We'll take him," Sarah whispered to James, her voice filled with emotion. As they left the shelter, Noah still didn't speak, but he seemed calmer. Max was his silent companion, and Sarah couldn't help but believe that their lives were about to change. At first, Max's arrival brought both excitement and uncertainty into the Miller household. The puppy was curious and full of energy, but Noah didn't immediately warm up to him. The boy remained distant, watching Max with a mixture of fascination and apprehension. It was clear to Sarah and James that Noah wasn't sure how to interact with Max, though he followed him around with his eyes, unable to take his gaze off the dog's playful antics. Max, however, was patient. He didn't press Noah to play or communicate. Instead, he sat quietly beside him, his body warm and inviting. Every now and then, Noah would absent-mindedly stroke Max's soft fur, and Max would respond by gently nudging him or resting his head on Noah's lap. It was clear that Max was trying to make Noah feel safe, but it would take time. Sarah and James were both relieved by Max's calm presence. They saw how Max provided Noah with a sense of stability, something that seemed so elusive before. Slowly, over the course of several weeks, Max became a part of their daily routine. He followed Noah everywhere, whether it was in the living room, outside to the yard, or even while Noah was playing with his toys. There was something reassuring about the dog's presence. One morning, as Noah sat at the kitchen table, drawing with his crayons, Max bounded over and sat beside him. Noah, who had always been more comfortable in his own space, hesitated for a moment. But then, as if on instinct, he reached out and petted Max's head. This time, Noah didn't pull away. He seemed to be focused on the simple act of touch, something he had struggled with in the past. That day, Sarah noticed something incredible. Noah had spent a long time drawing and had started speaking in whispers to Max. His voice was soft, unsure, but it was the first time Noah had spoken in days. It wasn't much, just a simple sentence. "Max, you're my friend." It was a small breakthrough, but it was a breakthrough nonetheless. As the weeks passed, Max continued to serve as Noah's bridge to the world. The dog's steady companionship allowed Noah to begin experimenting with speech. Sarah was amazed when Noah started repeating words to Max. He would say, "sit," when he wanted Max to stay by his side, or "come," when he wanted Max to follow him into the yard. The bond they were forming helped Noah find his voice in a way that no therapy had been able to do. Max's presence became a calming force, guiding Noah to express his thoughts in small ways. The boy's interactions with his family began to shift. He would occasionally say, "Good morning," to James and Sarah, or point to things he wanted, though his speech was still slow and labored. The small steps forward brought hope to Sarah and James, and they encouraged every little word Noah said. They celebrated every new sound, even if it was just a whisper. Max wasn't just a pet. He was Noah's companion in the truest sense, his partner in learning, his supporter, and his friend. Through their bond, Noah's world began to open up. He started interacting with others, albeit in his quiet way, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't alone. As the months passed, Noah's transformation became increasingly apparent. The once silent boy, who had struggled to speak or interact, was now engaging more with his parents and Max, his loyal companion. Max's calming presence had a profound effect on Noah, allowing him to start opening up in ways that no one thought possible. Noah still didn't speak often, but he was beginning to form sentences. His parents had noticed that, unlike before, he would now occasionally ask for things he needed, like food or toys. He began to understand the power of words, and while speaking was still difficult for him, he now realized that when he used words, he could make the world around him respond. His speech was slow, but his progress was undeniable. The bond he shared with Max was the key that unlocked Noah's ability to communicate, and every little milestone was celebrated by Sarah and James. It wasn't just Max's presence that made a difference. Over time, Max became an active part of Noah's daily routines. Whether they were walking in the park, playing in the yard, or simply sitting together on the couch, Max was always there, patiently waiting for Noah to speak, never pressuring him, but always encouraging him through his unwavering presence. One day, after an especially quiet morning, Sarah decided to try something new. She had noticed that Noah's comfort with Max had grown, and she thought it might be time to see if Noah could use Max as a bridge to connect with others. She invited a few of the neighborhood children over, hoping that Noah might feel encouraged to interact. When the children arrived, Noah stood hesitantly behind Max, who immediately trotted over to greet the visitors. The children, initially uncertain about approaching Noah, quickly warmed up to Max. They began to pet him, talking to him excitedly about how soft his fur was and how well he followed commands. Sarah watched, hopeful but cautious. Noah remained in his quiet space, unsure of how to join in. But then, something unexpected happened. Max, sensing Noah's hesitation, trotted back to him and nudged his side, as if to say, "Come on, it's okay." Noah, still unsure, slowly approached the group. He didn't say anything, but his body language was different. Instead of retreating, he was inching closer, standing next to the children while they petted Max. The barrier that once separated Noah from the world was starting to break down. Over the next few weeks, this newfound confidence began to grow. Noah started looking for more ways to interact with others. He would walk Max to the park, and sometimes, other children would join him, talking to Noah and asking him questions. Noah didn't always answer right away, but when he did speak, it was often to talk about Max, his new best friend. Max had become Noah's sounding board, his silent but reassuring partner in every interaction. The dog didn't need to understand the words, he just needed to be there, and that was enough. And with every word Noah spoke to Max, a little bit more of his world opened up. One afternoon, Sarah noticed something remarkable. After a walk in the park, Noah was sitting on the front porch with Max, gently petting the dog's head. Noah was speaking softly to him, his voice hesitant but clear. "Max, you're my best friend," he whispered. Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she listened to her son's voice. It wasn't just the words that moved her, it was the way Noah spoke them with such warmth, as though he had been waiting for years to express this simple truth. Max, as if understanding the significance of the moment, laid his head gently on Noah's lap, as if to say, "I know, Noah. I'm here for you." James, who had been watching from the doorway, joined Sarah on the porch. They stood together, silent for a moment, before James spoke. "He's really starting to open up, isn't he?" he said, his voice full of awe. "He is," Sarah whispered. "And I think it's all because of Max." As time passed, Noah's progress continued. Max wasn't just helping Noah speak more, he was teaching him how to trust again. The boy, who had once been so isolated, was beginning to interact with the world on his own terms, slowly and steadily, but with confidence. His parents knew they had to keep encouraging him, but they also knew that Max would always be there, steady, loyal, and patient, guiding Noah through every step of the way. One day, Noah surprised everyone. He was sitting in the living room with Max, when he turned to Sarah and James, who had been watching him. "Max is my friend," Noah said clearly. It was the first time he had ever spoken so freely to his parents. Sarah felt a rush of emotion as she hugged Noah tightly. "Yes, sweetheart. Max is your best friend," she said, tears streaming down her face. James smiled, watching Noah with pride. "You've come so far, buddy," he said. "We're so proud of you." But Noah wasn't done yet. As if to seal his growing confidence, he looked at Max, then at Sarah and James, and said with a bright smile, "I can talk now. I can talk to you." It wasn't just a sentence, it was a declaration. It was the beginning of something new, something Sarah and James had hoped for but never dared to believe would come so soon. The bond between Noah and Max had not only helped Noah find his voice but had also begun to open doors to a future where Noah could fully engage with the world around him. Max had done more than help Noah speak, he had helped him find his place in the world. And for that, Sarah and James were eternally grateful. One bright afternoon, a breakthrough came when Noah's teacher, Ms. Adams, came to visit the family for a meeting. Sarah and James had been working diligently with Noah on his communication skills, and it was clear from his interactions that he had made tremendous progress. Noah's teacher had seen Noah's quiet growth at school, but now it was time for her to see him in his home environment, where he had become so much more comfortable with Max by his side. Ms. Adams arrived with a warm smile, taking a seat at the kitchen table as Noah, Sarah, and James gathered around. Max, ever the loyal companion, sat at Noah's feet, his eyes alert and filled with affection for his young friend. The teacher's presence no longer caused Noah the anxiety it once did. He looked at her with a mix of curiosity and comfort, knowing that Max was there to keep him grounded. Ms. Adams started by talking to Sarah and James, reviewing the progress Noah had made since they had started working together. She had seen how Noah responded positively to consistent encouragement and support. But now, she wanted to see how Noah communicated in a more relaxed setting, away from the structure of school. "Would you like to tell me about your day, Noah?" Ms. Adams asked gently, her voice calm and encouraging. Noah hesitated for a brief moment. His fingers fidgeted with the hem of his shirt, and his eyes flicked to Max, who was lying peacefully at his feet. There was something about Max's presence that made Noah feel safe. As if the puppy knew that now was the time. Noah smiled slightly, a shy, quiet smile, then turned back to the teacher. "Max. He helps me," Noah said, his voice barely above a whisper but clear enough for everyone in the room to hear. Ms. Adams's face lit up with encouragement. "That's wonderful, Noah. Can you tell me more about how Max helps you?" Noah's small smile widened as he looked down at Max. It was clear that his trust in his dog was immeasurable. Max was not just a companion, he was a bridge to communication, an unwavering support. Noah's eyes, now bright with more confidence, turned back to the teacher. "Max helps me talk," Noah continued, his voice a little steadier now, though still tentative. Sarah, who had been listening from the kitchen counter, felt her heart swell. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at her son. It wasn't a perfect sentence, but it was everything. For months, Noah had been silent, withdrawing into himself, unable to express his thoughts. And now, here he was, speaking, not just with words, but with meaning. Noah had found his voice, and Max had been the catalyst that helped him do so. Ms. Adams sat back, beaming. "That's amazing, Noah. You're doing so well," she said, her voice full of pride. "Max really has helped you, hasn't he?" Noah nodded, his grip on Max's fur tightening. The small bond between the two of them was more powerful than anyone could have imagined. Max wasn't just a dog, he was Noah's confidant, his rock. The dog's patient presence had allowed Noah to feel safe enough to find his voice and to begin sharing his thoughts with the world around him. As the weeks passed, Noah's communication skills improved dramatically. With each day, he became more confident in expressing himself, speaking in full sentences and sharing his feelings and experiences. At first, he had struggled even to make a sound, but now he was speaking freely, telling stories, asking questions, and laughing with his parents. It was as if the floodgates had opened, and Noah had so much to say. He began talking to his family more, engaging in conversations, and showing an eagerness to connect with others that was previously impossible. But no matter how much progress he made, Noah never forgot the one thing that had made all of this possible: Max. The dog who had patiently sat by his side, who had waited quietly as Noah gathered the courage to speak, and who had never once given up on him. Max's role in Noah's development was immeasurable. He had been more than a pet, he had been a friend, a guide, and a helper. Through Max, Noah had discovered the power of companionship, the importance of patience, and the strength that could be found in communication. Max had given Noah a safe space to explore the world, to find himself, and to find his voice. As the seasons changed, so did Noah's life. He was no longer the withdrawn boy who couldn't speak, but a boy with ideas, dreams, and a future he could now share with others. His relationship with Max had laid the foundation for this transformation. Together, they had embarked on a journey that would change Noah's life forever. And with Max by his side, Noah was finally able to navigate the world, speak his truth, and show everyone the bright, talented, and loving person he was always meant to be. Max, the brave puppy, had not only brought joy to Noah's life but had opened doors to a future filled with hope and possibilities. The healing power of companionship and the unspoken language between a boy and his dog had paved the way for Noah to embrace life fully, ready to face whatever came next with the unwavering support of his best friend, Max. The story of Noah and Max highlights the profound impact that companionship, patience, and unconditional love can have on a child's emotional and social development, especially for children with autism. Max, the puppy, not only provided Noah with a sense of safety and comfort but also became a bridge to communication, allowing Noah to open up and express himself. This powerful bond underscores the importance of animals in helping children with special needs overcome barriers to communication and connection. In real life, many children with autism struggle to express themselves verbally or connect with others. Pets, particularly dogs, can play a crucial role in supporting these children, offering companionship, emotional stability, and encouragement. Max's role in helping Noah find his voice demonstrates that animals can be transformative agents in a child's life. This story reminds us of the healing power of animals and the invaluable role they play in helping children navigate emotional challenges. In a broader sense, it teaches us about the power of patience, the importance of nonverbal communication, and the significant role of empathy in creating connections and fostering personal growth.